We have to circle back to what was our breaking news and our surprise story of the day. Calais Campbell signing a one-year deal with the Arizona Cardinals worth $5 million, according to reports. It could be worth as much as $7.5 million. I just checked NFL.com. He was, as it stood, the 39th best free agent available going into free agency this year. He was one of the few top 50 guys that were unsigned so far in free agency. He's going to be 39 years of age when the season starts, and he has been reunited with a team that drafted him in the second round back in 2008.
A team he never really wanted to leave, right? A team that he did not want to leave. I remember it very, very well with the agent. Like, can we just call the Cardinals and see if they'll match the offer? And they're not going to match the offer. They don't want to match the offer. And he ended up leaving. And I'll tell you, there are certain guys that leave and you're like, okay. I think, every time a guy leaves, you wonder, does he have anything left in the tank? Calais Campbell had a lot left in the tank.
Oh, boy.
You could question, like, Patrick Peterson when he left, and there's certain guys that you let go of. Now, the young guys, I think it's different, a Zach Allen, a Byron Murphy. But certain guys you let go, and you're like, I wonder how much this guy has left in the tank. Does he have anything left in the tank? When the Diamondbacks let go of Luis Gonzalez, you question, did he have anything? Randy Johnson left, Kurt Schilling left. You start to look at players that leave, and you're like, oh, I wonder. Calais Campbell had a lot left in the Anquan Bolden when he left, right? Couldn't pay two wide receivers. Bolden ended up winning a Super Bowl, being a great player.
When Calais Campbell left the Cardinals, he was 30 years old. He was about to turn 31 before he started that first season with Jacksonville back in 2017. And like you said, I remember it like it was yesterday. I remember the agent conversation. I remember Calais Campbell, very much wanting the Cardinals to get back into the conversation because he didn't want to leave. And most of all, I remember thinking exactly what you said a second ago, that this is, if they brought him back, it was going to be a risk because he just didn't know if you were going to be paying a guy on the wrong side of 30. And a lot of times, in fairness to the, at the time then, Cardinals, there was a lot of data that kind of suggested that signing a guy on the wrong side of 30 was the mistake.
Yeah.
Was you were going to pay for it and you weren't going to get good years out of him, and the guy was going to get old, especially for a guy who was as durable and reliable as Calais Campbell. He didn't miss games at all. He didn't miss snaps. He played a ton for those teams, and you just thought he's going to wear down. And credit to him. Not only, Gambo, has he not worn down.
Stayed healthy.
Back-to-back seasons. 2023 in Atlanta, 2024 in Miami. He has played all 17 games. He has started all 17 games, even at his age, and he's combined for 11 and a half sacks the last 2 years. Still very productive at the defensive tackle position.
It's crazy because I was looking at a story today, an NBA story, beware of pricey free agents in their 30s, and they talked about Paul George, 34, 4 years, 212, Isaiah Hartenstein, DeMar DeRozan, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Tobias Harris, Klay Thompson, and, Isaiah Hartenstein's not in his 30s, but they were talking about DeRozan and Pope and Harris and Klay Thompson and Paul George. And, I think that there is a point when guys get in the 30s, you worry about that. Look, Christian Walker. Why did the Diamondbacks not bring back Christian Walker? Because you're expecting a decline. You're expecting that he's going to decline and it's not going to be worth the money you're paying him. And you've got to kind of anticipate that. And with Calais Campbell, they let him go and he ended up being such a productive player that I think you end up regretting it. I think you end up looking back and saying, man, I wish we would have been able to keep that guy.
Obviously, that was a regime ago. That was the Steve Keim regime. It wasn't even the Steve Keim regime that drafted him. It was the Steve Keim regime that decided not to bring him back after the age of 30. Looking at the snap counts, I mean, 58% last year, 63% the year before, 62% the year before that. For a defensive tackle, that's a lot. Especially when you consider the heavy rotation that defensive linemen are usually in.
Sure.
You got a defensive lineman who's playing 60% of the time. That's a ton. It's, in some ways, I get it, he's 39 years old. In some ways, it's almost a miracle that Calais Campbell was still on the market, that somebody didn't get him, and maybe he was waiting for this. Maybe he wanted to come back to Arizona. Either way, Gambo, you have to tip your cap to the Cardinals for the work they've done in their defensive front seven this offseason. Tomlinson, Sweat, Calais Campbell, a full season, you would presume, of Darius Robinson returning to health. The guys left over from last year, LJ Collier re-sign. They are
Bilal Nichols.
They are low, but B.J. Ojulari hopefully coming back. I know you're kind of banking on some guys who have had injuries coming back and playing, and I know they're not all going to stay healthy. But you look at their front seven and the guys they can offer up now in the front seven, it feels like they have really turned the corner in terms of talent on the defensive side to match up with the good coaching they've gotten there.
Yes, some of these guys are not going to make the team, and I'm going to try to find out tonight. But I would imagine that you'll look to see if you could trade one of these. Are good players, the guys that they brought back. So can you trade one of these players to get a 6th or a 7th round pick? Can you get an extra pick by moving one of those guys? I think that's going to be fascinating now because teams are going to look at the Cardinals and say, you got a lot of depth right there. And, I could use some help on the defensive line. So I'm really curious to see how that plays out because your defensive tackle, you mentioned it. You got Robinson, Tomlinson, Calais, Justin Jones, Bilal Nichols, Dante Stills. It's a big room.
LJ Collier, assuming you draft one. Now, it feels – I know Calais Campbell's only going to be here a year, and Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones are probably only going to be here another year. They obviously need to draft a young one that they can build around. I just don't know if this means they draft one in the first round or not. I
think we all expect they're going to look to trade down to see if they can get extra inventory. There's been some mocks that had them trading up. I just don't see that because, now you go into this from a position of strength. I need an offensive guard. I could use a corner. I can use another defensive lineman. I mean, so you go into this like, and again, I think we learned a lot from the Cardinals last year with how they got Max Melton. The 3 corners with Kool-Aid McKinstry, Max Melton, and Cooper DeJean, and it kind of liked them all, very similar. And they ended up moving down. They got Max Melton. Now, they passed on DeJean, but they ended up getting Max Melton, good player. DeJean had a great year, being on a great team. It was a good fit for him. So you got to wonder if that's how they look. If they look at the draft and they're like, hey, there are 5 guys we like right now. There are 5 guys that we really like, that we have graded very highly. If we can move down, get extra inventory, and still get one of these 5 guys, we'll be happy.
I think more and more that's going to be the play for them. I'm not saying they won't take a tackle sometime in the first 2 days of this draft, first, second, or third round. I'm sure they will. They need some youth at the position, obviously. But a first-round pick on defensive tackle, boy, I don't know anymore. Suddenly that feels more offensive line, maybe corner in the first round, potentially. It feels like a little, maybe another edge. I don't know, but we'll have to see the closer we get and if there's a trade down and what extra inventory they get, and will they address defensive tackle in the second round or not. Interesting stuff, and congratulations to Calais. We're obviously very excited for him.
Thanks for watching Burns and Gambo. Click to see more from the guys and hit the button in the middle to subscribe so you never miss a video from Arizona sports.